Okay, so we're back now with our 2-point interior, and now we're going to reference our figures. We're going to put, if you'll look over to the right up corner where I've got layers, we're going to put several figures. I've got a background layer, Han Solo, an architectural layer, which I've done just so we can see a little bit clearly. I just roughed this in really clearly. Nothing special. We're not going to get too detailed here. It's not the point. The point is about perspective and sketching and structure. And so I've got an architecture layer, and then I've got Chewbacca, Leia, Darth Vader, Lando, his assistant Lobot, Boba Fett, and there's going to be stormtrooper layer in there as well. So we're gonna reference these figures against a vanishing point or something, another object or two. We'll may bounce it off of some of these architectural units, especially this wall here. So I've got the hand back up in through here. Okay, so that's where I'm at now. And so architecturally speaking, I've got some areas grayed out, as you can tell, like I said, to give us a little clarity about where we're at a little bit further. Okay, so we're going to start with Han. So I'm going to go to his layer. If you don't have a Cintiq, and a lot of you don't, a couple of things. I like to use the Cintiq because it's a new tool and it's can be a drawing tool, and it's got great applications for layers. This can be done with tracing paper. Go get some tracing paper, and for each figure you can put a new layer, or you can use one sheet of tracing paper for all your figures. I just thought I would put a lot of different layers and just do it that way. Okay, so I'm going to go now to my brush tool and go for my first color, just a color change, and I'll use red here for Han. We'll just do that. I think that will be good. Maybe the opacity can come up a little bit. All right, so Han Solo is going to be 5 feet 9 inches. Now I don't know what 5 feet 9 inches is scale in my setup, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Han as the starter of scale. So I'm going to take this nib down quite a bit, and we're going to put him on this platform. Now ultimately we're going to bury him a little bit as if he's going downward into the carbon freeze. Here's where, right in here, if you can see that, stronger opacity actually, we'll get this right in through here, right at that central dot, right in through there, and it for whatever reason didn't take red. Let's go back here. There we go. Okay. Get myself together. There we go. Right in through there. That's where he's going to be standing. Now we're going to take him up to 5 feet 9 inches. And I'm going to take him up beyond the horizon line, which is right in through here. You're going to have to follow along, be a detective. So we're going to put where I want Han to be at 5 feet 9 inches. So I'm going to put a reference line there. So that's going to be Han at 5'9". And I'm going to just make a stronger dot here at the top, and a stronger dot here at the bottom. That's where he ends, right in through there. Now we got a little problem because he's on a platform, okay? And he's got a little distance coming down. Right in here is where that platform is, right there, right? So we see that. And so I can take this point and I can go back to my right vanishing point, so we can drop him down a little bit lower if we want. So I'm just going to aim for my right vanishing point, drop him down with a little line in through here, right in through there. Then I can bring his height down just a little bit further. Okay, so that's where he's touching the floor. Supposing now this would bring him down a little bit, I could just bring that same distance back down. Okay, so just bear with me. 5'9", and we dropped him down about, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 inches or so. Now we can go back and project him to the left vanishing point. And the reason, again, why I'm doing this is so we can get some heights to our other figures as well. Darth Vader, Boba Fett, Leia, Chewbacca, Lando, and the others through here. So back to the left vanishing point, you see that, okay? And I'll just do it with all these actually in through here so we can see that. Just gingerly back there, and the same back in through here. Okay, so we have that. So there's our reference point, which is our left finishing point. Now watch this. So follow along with me down at the bottom here where he's going into the carbon freeze, that lower one, right along all the way till it meets up with the bottom wall, right in through there. Okay, and so I'm going to draw a straight line up through there, all the way up through all these lines where they meet on that wall right there, and they're 5'9". Now, we're looking at the second one from the top here. Okay, I'll put a little stronger dot there. And the bottom one down, right, because we had to move him down a little bit, and that's 5 feet 9 inches right there. Okay, so that, if we put a figure next to him, if we put Chewbacca next to that line, or put it on that line, quite frankly, that would give us, you know, a reference point. He's 7 foot 5 inches. So we've got Han Solo there. Okay, so now we can sketch in. Actually, I should better put an H up here for Han. Okay, so just so you'll see it. And of course, we could take that later off if we want. Later on, we can do this and say, okay, boom, he's off, and boom, he's on again. Most of you probably know that, and some of you probably know it better than I do. You just may not know perspective as well. All right, now here's the trick. So what we want to do, since we've got Han Solo's 5'9" height, I'm looking at the second line that we projected over to here, so we can project our figures over. Now let's put 5'9" Han going into the carbon freeze a little bit. So let's pretend like we've lowered him down. So I'm going to change color here. I'm going to go with maybe a green, maybe here, and then a darker green over, so that hopefully you can see this. So I'll take that off. Okay, so we've got a dark green going in our brush. And I'm going to pretend like, so if this is Han's head at the very top at 5'9", right? So let's see, maybe I want to lower him this far in where my green line is. Okay, now since we're just going up and down this line, we're not changing scale, so all I have to do is take this measure here, and where it starts, where it meets the center, take it down about the same distance right in through there. Okay, and so I'll put a point right there. So now from this green line here, right there, okay, I'll make a little mark. I'll make a little mark here, nice and just horizontal across. That's where we're going to start to put Han Solo. That's where we're going to start to draw Han Solo. So he's 5'9", but now he's going down in space that far, and it's about the same distance here as well. You can see it in green. Okay, now when you're sketching later on, when you're doing it by yourself and you don't have to talk to anybody, it goes fast. It goes real fast, and you can get a feel for it and get your figures laid in and get them referenced nice and quick and cleanly, and it's a lot of fun too. So now we're gonna disappear Han a little bit right in through here where he meets the end of the carbon freeze. So I think what I'll do is I'll go back to a gray color, and we'll bump this opacity down pretty good, and I'll fill up that carbon opening where he's going into the freeze a little bit, so we can get a landmark on that. So I'll do that really quickly here, so you'll see that. So that's me sketching in through here in the oval that we sketched out earlier, right? You remember that? So I'm just gonna put this in here. There we go. Right in through there, kind of filled it up a little bit. Maybe put one more layer right in through here. Just really quickly. We can still see through all that. All right, there we go. Okay, so that's where he'll go down into, right, into that bottom area. All right, so let's give Han a sketch here. So we've got his layer. Maybe I'll take my pen nib down, and we'll just kind of sketch his body, and I'll show you how that we can handle that a little bit, maybe a little bit thicker at 14, a little bit. So I've got from the top of the green line to the bottom of the green line to get him to sketch in. So we'll say, okay, he's kind of leaning over. I've got a photo reference from the film that I'm using to help me a little bit here. So I've got his head in. He's leaning kind of downward. Here's his head there, his hair in through here. We're not going to go into any major detail. So there's the nose in through here. Shoulders coming out in through here. So this gives me a real guide of where I can utilize him or put him in here. So shoulders coming down in through here. All right, so we've got him coming down this way and over. So he's got his shirt on, his white shirt, but his vest is off in through here if we want to get really technical. Here we go. Okay. Hands will be coming down. Han's hands and arms will be coming down this way and down here. Okay, through here. So it's nice to have, again, something to shoot for in addition to our figure, so we can get our scaling a little better in through here. Okay, so we'll work with the buttock now. Hands and arms kind of in through here. Buttock will come out kind of this way. So you can see we're already about to start to submerge him into that chamber down below, in through here. So I'll get the outline of his legs in through here and down. Okay, so we know where to submerge him in lower and lower. And I might even have to go even a little bit lower just to make that work out visually, right in through here. This one will come out a little bit and downwards and through there. So they're lowering him down that chamber. So I could tighten this up a little bit. Maybe like so. And through here and over. All right, so we've got him solo laid in, and I think they've got some tie-in things to tie his arms together so he'll won't flee here and through there. Okay. All right, so we have him now at roughly 5 feet 9 as he's going down into the chamber, and of course he's disappearing into the carbon freeze in through here, like so, coming in like that, so we can take him down. So what I think I'll do for effect is I'll go ahead and maybe, no, I'll go ahead and leave the feet so we can see all of what we did. But we know could tell our audience that that's what's happening as he's going down. Okay, so we've got that. All right, so now we could take another figure and start to work with that. So we might put them along this wall, put them in front a little bit, and go that way. So maybe I'll start, since we've got Han in, and he was kind of our central character, in this scene. I'll pull out a little bit and see what we're doing. And so there's our central character of Han at 5'9", and of course we dropped him down a little bit to project on the floor to the wall. And now we've dropped him down more significantly because of course he's going into the carbon freeze. So let me magnify this a little bit further. Let's go now to Chewie's lair, and we'll start to play around with this a little bit further. So I'll make Chewbacca's color. And you don't have to use colors. I just think it's easier. I'll just make it kind of this blue color, suppose, right in through there. We'll make the opacity a lot greater so we can really see this coming out. So I think I'll put Chewbacca, just for ease and reference, we'll put him in along this same plane about right here. So I'm looking at right here, this bottom mark. That may be a little too much opacity. Okay, right in through there. Now, if I go straight up to here, I know that's 5'9". So that's 5 feet 9 inches, because we referenced, remember, from Han, from the bottom of the platform, right here. So, right, see my little blue dot right there? Okay, my diagram, my illustration, whatever this is. So we're right there, and we projected him over, and of course we used the second height here for 5 now. Now he's 7 feet 5 inches. So instead of doing any more referencing, I'm just going to guesstimate. That's 5 feet 9. 6 foot 9 might be right there. 7 foot 9 might be right there, so a little bit under. So I'm going to put a dot, that top dot. That's how tall I think Chewbacca would be right at there at 7 feet 5 inches. So I'll make a line all the way through, a little bit darker so you can see it. Now, if we backed him up against this wall, he'd go down a little bit. He'd be about right there. That's 5'9" at the red dot, and that would be probably about right there, would be maybe a little bit lower, 7 foot. Let me go back, edit, step backwards, edit, step backwards a little bit, and one more time. There we go. So maybe about right there would be 7'5", going back a little bit. And that's significantly taller, of course, than 5'9" in our projection. Okay, so now what we can do is we can put, let's sketch in Chewbacca now in our composition. Okay, let's do that. So drawing Chewbacca now I've got it set up where we can kind of start with him here, put him in there. Now we've got a top and bottom reference. So I went back to my sort of gray tone in through here. I'm going to get a little bit more opacity, go a little bit darker. So now that we have his total height and his total, well, not his width, but his height from head to toe. That's what I meant to say. So we can put him in at 7'5". Okay, so we'll start to sketch in just a little bit of where I think the head is gonna be, right in through here. And we can start to get a feel for his body. In through here's his shoulders coming down. In through here. Okay, midsection, pelvic region, kind of down in through here. Just a general sketch, nothing too fancy. So I get the gesture of him coming down this way, and maybe his gesture this way a little bit, like so. Then we'll fill out the girth of his legs. And through here, like so. Big hairiness, kind of in through there. And down. So now I know where to sketch my figure. So he's a giant compared to all the other characters. So he will appear larger, and also, of course, even in perspective, he will appear, of course, larger. All right, so we have that. Okay, now let's do something maybe with his arms. So he's in anguish, so maybe we'll do something where, let's see, maybe he's up like this, head down. I don't want to get too detailed, so eyes will be in through here, nose, and then mouth maybe, kind of like that. And let's put arms maybe in through here. Like so, kind of coming in. There we go, maybe down and through. Maybe around like that. And then we can tighten up and change as we need to later. And let's pull his belt maybe around here a little bit. Like so. And through there. Okay, so there's his character located there, roughed in. So we've got him roughed in. So let's pull out a little bit and see what we've got. So we've got a 7'5" character in there at Chewbacca there. So we can, of course, we could work and all that and tighten up all that a little bit later. Shoulders might come up. It's an okay job. There we go. All right, so we've got Chewbacca at 7'5". So now we can start to play off. Maybe a nice contrast would be to have, of course, maybe, you know what I forgot? C-3PO would be behind him, maybe kind of emerging. So let's pull him down a little bit so you can see this. Maybe he's still behind him, and we could see this a little bit further. We can't forget about C-3PO, can we? No, we can't. So through here. And he would come in through that a little bit. There we go. And say maybe 3PO's head would be behind. Of course, he can't see. And so the back of his head might be here. And maybe his shoulders down, and maybe part of his arm. Let's see, is through here. Here's his elbow. And then maybe he comes out this way, kind of stiff. His hand. This little robotic hand might be in through here like like so. So we get a little bit of that, and he's got some kind of junk in the back that he's holding on. And through here too as well. His leg or something could be coming over since he was kind of messed up a little bit. And so, all right, so we've got something like that. So we've got his character on top through there. All right, so let's pull out and see what I've wrought here. And let's bring it over. Take a look. Okay, so yeah, it's a pretty good size relationship. 7'5" Chewbacca to 5'9" Han in through there. So I think what we'll do now is we'll put Leia next to them both, maybe to the right of them both, and I'll show you how we can do that. All right, so I've got my layer now on Leia, and let's pull in a little bit here, and let's bring this over. Let me adjust Chewbacca's midsection. Still bothers me. Let's come up here a little bit, get this a little bit better. It's not the greatest one in the world. Yeah, let's bring his hips up even. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. There we go. Okay, a little bit stronger into there. Okay, and that's a rough. We could do all kinds of detail later, but that gives us a little bit better view. I didn't like that in the beginning. All right. Okay, so now go back to Leia's layer. Okay, so she's 5 feet tall. All right, and I'll show you how easy this is to do. Let's go back to a color, and let's make Leia, let's make her a little bit maybe more purple, violet in through here. So we've got that. Of course, we've got it back on her layer. Now, I'm looking at, whoops, okay, Leia, there we go. So I'm looking at now the red line for Han's right in through here. Okay, so that's a 5'9" line from dot to dot. Now what we can do is take that line and go back to the right vanishing point. We've already doing it on the top of the bottom of the structure. So I will put a little dot to show you where I'm going to put Leia, maybe a little bit closer, maybe right in through there. Okay, and then we'll take the top point of Han against the wall where that point is. I'll draw a little construction line right in through there, and I'll bring up the violet line here up against that. Now that's 5'9", going slightly back in perspective, dot to the floor, on the floor, right? Okay, so we can keep it there, or we can project 5 feet and go out a little bit. So 5 feet, this is 5'9" from dot to dot on Leia's line. We can go in a little bit. I'm thinking 5 feet. Since he's 7'5", Chewbacca, 5 feet is probably right there. There's where Leia's head, top of her head, would be right there. So I'm going to make that a little stronger line so we can see it. Now we're going to go back to the left vanishing point, okay, with your ruler, and we're going to come out a little bit here, okay. We're already on this line here. That was convenient right there. So we're going to project her off the wall. She doesn't need to be right on the wall, right? So we'll project her off the wall. We'll reference her right there, her new Leia, the darkest one right there. So off the wall a little bit. There she is at 5 feet tall, okay? So now we can take her reference, okay, and then draw her in. Let's just sketch her in a little bit and see what I can come up with here. So we'll change our color. We'll go back to black here. Okay, and then opacity seems about right. So let me go in a little bit and see if I can do a little bit better job. I wasn't that happy with Chewbacca's okay looking, but I could alter it in time. All right, so let's go back here and put Leia now in here at about 5 feet. So we'll just sketch in her head. Okay, got to get her head in and get those classic cinnamon buns right on the sides in through here. And we'll get her robe in through here. Hand, a bit of a belt in through here, of course, coming in and down and over. So there she arrives now, aghast, in love, but losing her her Han here. I don't want to go into the cheesiness. Okay, I better stop right there. Okay, there we go. So there she is. There's Leia there. Her feet might be covered up a little bit by the cloth. The rib. I'll put them kind of emerging into there just to get a diagram in through there. All right, maybe an over. Get these two. We'll get C-3PO toned down a little bit so we can see him. All right. Okay, so there we go. All right, so there's Leia now. So let's pull out a little bit and see our figures referencing through. So now we have Leia in our composition at 5 foot. So he's 7 foot 5 inches tall, 2.5 feet taller than she is. Much larger, much broader. So that makes perfect sense for that to work. Okay, so I think what we'll do now then is we'll go on to, let's see, we've got Han, and we've got Chewbacca, and we've got Leia. Let's do Lando and his assistant Lobot next. So Lando is 5 feet 8, so he is not that much shorter than Han is. And let's project him to the right. So we'll let's go in a little bit, and let me pull us over somewhat here. So I'll make my right vanishing point exposed so you can see it. All right, so we're going to use Han's line again. We're going to use where he drops to the red line, or the blue line through here, the blue dot to where he drops a little bit lower, right in through here, okay? We're going to use that, and we're going to use this second line, and we're going to take them back to the vanishing point. So now we're working with Lando, so let's work off Han's height. Let's make Lando's color maybe orangey yellow, maybe right like that. I'm just doing that for effect because I can, just for what we need to use. And let's make the opacity greater so we can see this a little bit better in our diagram. Again, I want to emphasize how creative this is. I didn't have a plan coming in. I'm like, well, I'll just wing it and we'll see what happens. And that's because it's a creative exercise, and you can do this really quickly on the fly. You can do this in oil and watercolor or graphite, and you don't have to go through all these marks, but you know perspective, and you start to really quickly get an idea of where to reference your figures at, and that's what's most important. But we slow it down so you can see this through the diagram, okay? All right, so I'm taking from the floor Han at 5'9". I'm just going to project him all the way back decently to the vanishing point there, okay? So let's put Lando, let's put him about right. I'm going to put a dot about right there on the ground, okay? And then let's go up. Remember, he's 5 feet 8 inches, and Han is 5'9", so that's 5'9". Right there. So that's L for Lando, right in through there. So we got to go a little bit shorter. And so let me go back to the dark here, and we'll put Lando's head maybe about the same height. Well, he probably wouldn't even be that short. Maybe just a little bit short underneath that. So right, let me go edit step backwards. 1, 2, and 3, and a couple more. And one more. There we go. And whoops, one more. All right. So he would be about, his height of his head would be about right there to the bottom, right in through there. Okay, so that's where we're going to put Lando Calrissian in perspective. And we know that he'll be 5'8". How do we know that? Because we have measured him from Han. So we're getting some complexity here. We had Han, and then we dropped him down a little bit so we could project and reference from the ground floor our other figures, but then we also dropped Han down further because he's going into the carbon freeze. All right, let's go on to Lando here. All right, so let's put in Lando here. So we got to start up at his, I'm going to have to start at his head, but we will. I will here. So here he is at 5 feet 8 inches, the super cool Lando Calrissian through here. So we'll get his head laid in so we can see that. Let me go in a little bit deeper so you can get a better idea of that. Let me pull over. There we go. Bring him to the center so you can see me sketch him out like so. Okay, so we have him here. All right. So we'll bring down a little bit of the neck and maybe a little bit of the shoulder. And he's always got his cape on through here, so he's a caped guy too. Lots of capes in these films, which is pretty cool. Although we don't wear capes anymore. All right. At least I don't. Ask yourself, when's the last time you wore a cape, right? It's probably been a while, which is okay. All right, so we'll put him here. We'll get his body into here. Okay. His legs coming in. So we'll see what kind of position we can give him. And through here, maybe down. Okay. Maybe he opens up his cape just a little bit and through this way. Just get a little symbol for the hands, nothing special. You can do whatever you want. Once you get the hang of it, you can go off mine for effect, and then you can do later on whatever it is that you want. Here, maybe he's back. Leg raised up. And through here. Okay, so we have now Lando in our composition. All right, so there he is. Okay. All right, so let's pull out and see what we have. Okay, so we have that, right? And so we have Lando at about 5 feet 8 inches tall, and if you reference everything else, it looks to be pretty much in order. That works pretty well. Now, Lando has an assistant, Lobot, and he's that human figure with the kind of a computer headphone thing that's wrapped around the back of his head to his front, and supposedly he could talk to central computers within Cloud City. So that's that. I don't want to get too geeky, but that's it. Okay, so what I want to do now is reference him. He's about 5'6" or 5'7", so he's a little bit shorter than Lando. So we'll put him, since he's always close and around Lando, we'll put them relatively close together in our composition. Through here, work on his leg a little bit. There we go. Let's put him close. So let's see what color we can come up for Lobot. Maybe another kind of red or orange. We'll put him in orange in through there. And we'll put him maybe on this little grill, this little air vent grill on the other side, the right side of Lando. So, okay. So we've got some opacity there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go back from the left vanishing point through Lando this time. Okay. So I'm going to take his measurement, pull him over just a little bit here, his reference line there. The top of Lando, which is 5'8". Okay. It goes back to the left vanishing point here and over. Just draw a construction line. And I'm going to put the line for Lobot here. Okay, so this is a true vertical right there. So there's my vertical for Lobot. Now Lobot's about 5'6", so if Lando, his height is right there, and I'll put LO for Lobot, then 5'6" is probably about right. We'll make sure he's definitely shorter than, so he's probably right about there. Okay, so from bottom dot there to top dot, and I'll pull in a little bit so we can see that. Then I'll bring him over, and we can start to sketch. I can start to sketch him a little bit further. That's too far. Okay, we'll come back. There we go. Okay, so now we'll go into and sketch Lobot and cut. So now I got to find a couple of Lobot images to work from. Okay. Okay, back in 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, so we're ready to get drawing on Lobot here. So go to brush and we'll take the opacity down. Back on the black here. Okay, pull that in about 26, 27. Okay, and we'll just sketch him out. So he's a little lower. We know that. Let me go a little stronger opacity through here. So we'll start to put his head maybe right in through here. He's a little inch or two lower. We know that. Right in through there. Nose. And then we'll give him those characteristic, that sort of computer thing that was going on in the back of his head, a little bit kind of human, and also a little bit computer robot. All right, so we'll put him down. He's got a little vest in through here, so there's where his midsection will be, and then the legs will kind of come together down. He's pretty charmless. Doesn't have a lot of charm, but that's okay. And then the feet would be roughly right into maybe here. Okay, so he's pretty stiff. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So maybe over and down just to get him roughed in. So you get the idea of learning how to reference. So you get the idea of two-point perspective in a very more informal kind of way, believe it or not. We could be a lot more technical. And then you're getting a feeling for how to reference figures in your composition. So he has hands coming down and through here and over. And then his shoulders got this little vest thing here coming down, and this is kind of a cloth that comes out like through here. We'll get his hands in through there and there. I think that's good enough for a time frame where we're at with our reference. All right, so let's pull back out. I'll save it. Pull back out a little bit and see, and there we go. So we have Lando and Lobot together, our figures, and they're roughly the same height, but Lando's a little taller, and so we just referenced him over using our left vanishing point. And then drew a straight line and then made him a little shorter in our reference. Okay. So we have Han Solo going down into the carbon freeze, and we have Leia, we have Chewbacca, and we have Lando, and we have Lobot. Okay, so I think it's instructive now to work on Darth Vader, and we can also work on Boba Fett. We're going to put them on the platform behind Chewbacca and behind Leia. So let me pull in a little bit. And they're going to be, since they're dominant characters, they're going to be looking up at our characters in the composition. I'll put my layers out with you here. Make sure we have Darth. So we could click off and click on when we want characters to come in and come out. Looks like I drew on Chewie a little bit with Leia's. Somebody else's layer. Oh, well, I do that. Darth. Okay, so Darth Vader is about 6'5" tall. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to use, and we'll just use black for Darth Vader since that's appropriate, right, for his line. Now, we're going to follow with me. Maybe I can go in a little bit deeper, yeah, for a little bit. And we're going to use Hans's projection here down at the bottom, okay? So we see my hand down here at the bottom, and we project along. That goes through the platform of our structure here. So we're seeing through it. Now, about right there, we're still inside that platform on the ground. I'm going to put a mark, dark mark, right there, okay? So we're going to go up. I think it's easiest to just go up from there in the beginning. So remember, Vader is about 6'5". Okay, so we're going to go up, and we're going to go up pretty high. I'm going to go up high here, and then I'm going to pull out of the screen a little bit, and then go up even higher with this vertical line right in through there. Okay, so there's our vertical line in through there. All right, so let me pull down a little bit. Okay, so where the Han's line here of the red line, our reference dot in through here, where that comes down in perspective, I'll put a little dot right there. Okay, so that's 5 feet 9 inches. And so what I'll do is I'll double this length, use the same length And that's 5 feet 9 inches from that point. And I'll keep going up. I probably could keep going a little bit higher in my scaling. So 5 feet 9. Here's about another 5 feet 9. So that's about, let's see, 5, 15, and another 20. What, 9 times 3 is 27 inches. So that's another more than we need. So I'm going to put 5, another 2 feet, 15, and plus 2. That's about 17 feet. Roughly right in through there tall. Okay, so what I'm saying now is from this dark point right here, right there, that's 5 feet 9 inches. But it's also where the Vader could be standing on the platform. That's where the bottom of his feet, we would actually see underneath the bottom of the feet just a little bit right there. So that's where he's standing. Right there. Okay, now he's 6'5". So if we come up from that point right here and we come up and say, okay, that's 5'9", then we're not that far off from 6 foot. So 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", about 6 foot there. 6'5" might be right. I'm going to get a guess right in through there because I don't need to go crazy with any more measuring. We could make this into a 5-hour exacting kind of thing that would bore everybody to tears. That's where Darth Vader is going to be, right there. So from the bottom, right here, I'll bring this back. I'm bringing it back to the right vanishing point, right there, by the way. Right in through there. His feet will be there, and his head will be right there. That's where we're going to put Darth Vader. Okay, so while we're at it, let's go ahead and use this referencing these two two lines in perspective, actually. Let's pull them a little further back to the right vanishing point. And we're going to go ahead and reference Boba Fett, too, as well, because he's going to be next to them. And he's pretty anxious, right, because he doesn't want Han Solo to die, because he's going to make a lot of money off him. So this is 6'5" right there, 6'5" inches right there. So is it? It's the same over here. That's what I'm trying to say right there. So that's 6'5". So let's put Boba a little bit in, give him some compositional room. So I'm going to bring another line down right to there. Okay, that's 6'5" inches in perspective. Now, Boba Fett's 6 foot. So from this point right here, we're going to go down a little bit. Maybe about right there. That could be, looks like it probably could be a good 5 inches down in our composition, in our perspective, right through there. And that's where the top of Boba Fett is going to be. So now we're cooking with gas. So now we've got, I'll talk a little bit as I draw around Chewbacca. Never liked my drawing of this one. Sometimes you just don't like them. So now we've referenced Darth Vader. Now we've referenced Boba Fett, and now we can draw them in. And what we did was we took another reference point from Han, right? And so you can see how he was a key central figure, not only in our composition, right, but also because of his location, I could project him in many various different ways and use him to project all over the place. So he was kind of our central figure for a number of reasons. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to be doing is let's go over and into Darth Vader, and let's add Vader and Boba Fett. All right, so let's lay Darth Vader in now, and we'll go back to our brush here and lower the opacity so we can put him in. And so he's 6'5" inches. We're looking up a little bit, so we want the aspect to be a little bit up in our composition. Now he's pretty big. 6'5" is big because he's got the gear on and everything. And we're going to miss seeing part of the feet too as well. So let's see what I can do with this here. So we'll work the headgear in. So I'm just going to get an entire gesture of here. Here's the headgear. Right in through here. Okay. Get that downturned mouth thing going in through here. So let's get a gesture of the shoulders. and through. Okay, and then we're gonna feel him down. He's kind of standing a little to the side. And it's giving a little bit more dramatic kind of pose, and through here and over and around. Midsection up and through here, and then let's get legs coming down. And remember, they end downward, so we miss, so his feet would be there. So that's going to look, I think, pretty good. It's going to work pretty good and through there. And then he's going to be maybe standing, the other leg coming out this way a little bit. Here and over, and then downward and through, like so. And maybe a little bit broader, so he's arm and hand kind of down in here. And cape downward. And maybe he's got his lightsaber. He wouldn't have his lightsaber out, so maybe he's just standing there like so. Actually, maybe we could put him on his, let's just keep him like that. There we go. Coming over like so, to his neck. There we go. That takes him in pretty decently. And through there. We don't have time really for detail. That's for another time. Let's get the scaling and referencing of our figures in. So you can see where his feet come down past the structure line of the platform that we had for visual effect. Maybe he's just holding part of the lightsaber there. And we see where he would disappear a little bit. All right, so let's go back out. Let's pull out now and see how we did and through here. So we've got Vader now watching the action of what's going on high and up above. And so now we can put in Leia and Boba Fett to the right of Darth Vader here at 6 foot. So Darth Vader's 6'5". So, and he is standing a little bit behind Chewbacca, who is 7'5", a full foot taller than even Darth Vader. So Darth Vader would come down. If we dropped him down, he would feel shorter than. We bring him in front, and he would still feel short. So that's pretty good referencing. So it works. Perspective is creative, and the great news for everybody is it also works. And that's how we, part of how we see. And I'll go into formal perspective lectures later on and talk about how we see. Okay, let's lay in Boba. Laying in Boba, let's go to his layer there. So we've got the layer for Boba. And we'll go back to our brush, and so I'll start up in here. Let me see if I can pull in. We can get a little bit better view. That might be a little too big. Let's see. Can I get the head and toe? Yeah, I can get a little bit. So you can see, you get a feeling for how rough the laying is. I consider this as another rough sketch that you could do a fine job drawing over in another layer, really tighten it up, and then really make a beautiful drawing or painting, from that. So this is the guts and the nuts and bolts of what goes on behind. All right, so let's go back to our brush, and let's lay in Mr. Boba Fett. So remember, he's a little smaller than Darth Vader. We're already got our measurements that work for that. So let's start to lay him in. So we'll get his head, get a feel for his head and his helmet coming in, maybe in through here. Okay, so we've got that. His kind of classic sort of T-frame helmet, Spartan helmet thing that he has right in through there. Notice how blunt I leave my nib. I don't need a fine nib right now. I just want to be blunt in general with my laying. So he's got these little things going on in the back. So let's get his shoulders maybe tilted a little bit. So I'm trying to get his aspect, and this is for another lecture in figure drawing about drawing with point of view up higher, which is 3-point perspective, that we tend to make into 2-point because we simplify in our mind. All right, so we have his hand. That's for another time. Don't even worry about that. So we have his hand gestured through here. He's got kind of his gun that he always holds on to. He's always got it ready to go, I suppose. Shoulder pad and through here. His other arm coming down to hold the apparatus, I suppose. Okay, now remember, we're going to go down past the platform a little bit to put his feet. So he comes in through here and over like so. And he has a little bit of a cape maybe here and on the other side a little bit so we can see him coming down. Maybe his legs are kind of spread a little bit, which he likes to do, sort of higher up a little bit in his aspect. And here we go. And it's like so. Look at a gesture coming down of where I want his legs and down through a little bit. I have to go a little bit longer. A little bit short and through there. Put them up. And then we'll get Fett in through here. And then standing kind of about right in through there. Okay. So we've got Boba Fett in through here. We've got his referencing. You can tell I'm not completely satisfied with this position. I tend to draw over it, get him a little bit cleaner and clearer. I'm not really that happy with it, but again, it's just for referencing. Okay, let's pull out and take a look. So we've got Fett there in our composition. And I can do a lot of changes with that later. We could put his knees maybe up a little bit higher. There we go. Tighten him up a little bit. Make him look a little bit more presentable if we're going to put him on film, right? Okay. We'll put his cape, something like that. There we go. Lots of capes. Capes are cool, I suppose. All right. Okay, so we've got now Boba Fett in there at 6 foot. So let's reference and see what we had between Darth Vader and Boba Fett. So there we go in our composition sketch. Let's pull out a little bit and take a look and see exactly what's going on here. So I'll pull it in the center so we can see it. And so we've got our main characters, our protagonists. We've got Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, Darth Vader, and Boba Fett, and Lando and his assistant Lobot in the composition. So we're getting a nice sense of scale for really all of them, coming into play. And we're referencing not only side to side, but also up and down into the platform. Okay, so what I want to do now is put some stormtroopers around. So every stormtrooper that I put in, I'm just going to de facto make 6 foot, since they were kind of cloned anyway. So they're going to be all at 6 feet. So we'll go from there. So let's go to my layers here. I think I've got a stormtrooper layer. Yeah, stormtrooper layer. So we'll click on that, make sure we're on the layer that we want. And then compositionally, okay, where do we want to put them? Well, they would be probably guarding everybody. So I might put one next to Chewbacca, but maybe at the end over here where my hand is. I'm just thinking along with you. I want to kind of point out where I would want them. So maybe what I would do is put a mark where I would want them, just to show you that. So let me go back to my brush, and let's think of a color here. We can get maybe another type of green. I don't really see it too much. Another type of green right in through there will help. Okay. So we have green there. So maybe I'll put a stormtrooper. I would put a dot here so you can see it. Let me really get some opacity going. Maybe a stormtrooper there at 6 feet. Maybe one over here standing. I don't want to overlap them too much. Maybe one about right here. I'll put one there. So I'm thinking of my composition. And then we'll put one by Lando. And we'll put two maybe. We'll put one then on the other side of Lobot, about right here. We'll put a bunch in actually. One there. And then one next to Lando. And then we can put, why don't we put some then also in the platform way up here, as guards in through here. That will be interesting. I'll put a green one Put a green dot there and a green dot there. And here's where you could just take some educated guesses, but you could still plot it out and go. I don't want to make this video too terribly much longer, but you can get the idea. So, and of course, you could have stormtroopers all over, and then you could have those little pig-like looking characters that were working the carbon freeze, but that's for another time, right? Okay, so let's go with a 6-foot stormtrooper, and we're going to put him, let's work with this one on the far end over through here. Okay, so who can we use as a reference point? Let's use Leia at 5 feet. Okay, so if you go look at Leia at 5 feet, so let's go back and recapture her where she's actually standing. Green dot, green dot, green dot there, okay? And then I'm going to find my horizon line, which is right in through there. So I'm looking at this green dot where the stormtrooper is, this big one, where I'm going to put right here. So we're going to draw a convergence line through that point through Leia here, all the way through, and we're going to go all the way back to the vanishing point. Excuse me, the horizon line, sorry. That's going to be our reference. I'll put a dot there. That's our reference point for our big stormtrooper. Here he is on the ground right there. He'll be looking back in the scene. And now I'm going to bring up a vertical where I think he will be. He may come out of the composition. He might be so big, so we'll see. Probably not. All right, so I'll draw a vertical line up in green so you can see it nice and clean and clear right there. Okay. Now from our reference point back on the horizon line through the top of Leia, okay, through her point all the way up and over until we meet our stormtrooper line right there. See that? Right there. That's 5 feet. Leia's 5 feet tall, so that's 5 feet. Okay. Now we want 6 feet. Okay. So what you could do is break this line down into 5 sections. So that would be half, right? Right in through there. So if it's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it'd be a little bit about 5 feet. Might be each section might be like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, not quite. So I'm going to guesstimate 6 foot tall being about right there. So that's where I see it as, and I'll draw it straight across now, not in perspective. So that's the height roughly of our stormtrooper, 6 foot tall. Okay, so I don't think I'll draw them in. I think I'll reference them, and then I'll go off camera and draw them back in, and then come back and we'll finalize this instruction. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. I think you get the idea. And my point is to get you, hopefully you're drawing with me. If not, that's cool. But you can certainly draw along with me. Okay, so let's use some simple referencing now. Let's use from Lando and Lobot. So they're going back to the left vanishing point. Okay. And so I'm going to go from Lando. I'm going to put, and we're going to put them back a little bit. So we'll just draw back to the left vanishing point. Okay. Right through there to there. Got it lined up. Okay. Remember, that's about 5'9". Okay. So there they are, 5'9". That's 5'9". Now I'll go back a little bit, because we want that stormtrooper just to sit back just a little bit, just to show you how technical and cool this is. So 5'9's there, and then back. Okay. 5'9 there. So 5'9 is there to there. Okay. And then we can go up a little bit higher for 6 foot. I'll put a dot where that 6 foot would be. So he's standing, that stormtrooper is going to be standing. Let me put a straight line where you can see that right there. It's 6 foot, and he's also back here standing right there. So 6 foot tall right there for our next stormtrooper. Okay. So we can put one now next to Chewbacca here. So if we've got 6 foot, what's the easiest point to reference him from? Let's reference him from our big stormtrooper right in front here. So what we're going to do is from the bottom of our stormtrooper that we already referenced, we're going to go through the bottom dot that I drew right there, right here, okay? And I'm going to draw a construction line all the way back to the horizon line for a reference point, right there, and draw a little dot on the horizon line, right there, okay? Then I'm going to go to the top of our big stormtrooper that we've already drawn through the top dot right there, okay? That's 6 foot plane back in perspective. Now, from the bottom of the green dot that we had closer to Chewbacca right here, all we need to draw is a straight line up. Watch this, up. And that's where our stormtrooper would be, okay? So, taller than Leia, certainly. Shorter than Chewbacca, certainly. Yeah. So there we start to have it, okay? And that's where another stormtrooper would go from there. Okay, so let's do another, let's see, any more stormtroopers we could put in on the ground. Yeah, I had one next to Lobot over here. All right, let's put another one over here. First thing I'll do is just draw a straight line up. I'll overdraw against through there, right through there. Remember, Lobot is 5. Now we'll use Lando's here. He's 5'9", so we'll come across a little bit here, and we'll come across a little bit here, and I'll put him roughly on the same plane just for the sake of time. So that's 5 foot 9 inches from the top of our green line to here. We'll go a little bit higher for 6, guesstimate, since he's got to be a little bit bigger. And there's the top of our stormtrooper there, and about right there. So there's another stormtrooper. And of course, the one over to the left of Lando is a little bit shorter in composition. Why? Because he's a little bit pushed back. All our stormtroopers are 6 feet tall total. Okay, so now what about these stormtroopers on the platform? How do we get them, and where do we know where they're at? Okay, a little bit challenging, a little bit more challenging and difficult problem. What we can do is, what I would start to do is start to just move things around. So I'm going to show you how I organically kind of figure this out up and through here. Now he's standing on a platform, so we can't see on that platform. So I'd say that platform, the total platform all the way down might be right where Boba Fett's head is, right in through there. So I'm going to put just a straight line up, like so, okay? Straight line like that. And we're going to find out where we can get that length. Now, the stormtrooper is greatly behind Boba Fett, right? Okay, so let's bring that line then all the way down because we're behind Boba Fett. There, we'll bring it all the way down to the ground. And I'm going to say that where his location is in space would be about right there in distance. All right, so what we can do then is we can use Han's measurement, okay? We can use it from the red line of Chewbacca here. So here and here, right there, remember that's 5 foot 9 inches. So what we can do is we can go through that red dot through our green dot right here. And this gets crazy, doesn't it? And we can go all the way back to the vanishing point, the horizon line, stop. And then we'll draw through again, okay, over to the top of that red line, right through there. All right. Where they meet, right here in space, that's 6 feet. Excuse me, that's 5 feet 9. Sorry about that, 5 feet 9 inches. Now all we have to do is scale that up, take that same measurement here and here, bring it up. There's 5 feet 9. Bring it up again, that's 5 feet 9, okay? Bring it up, 5 feet 9, and so on. So what we can do is just use that length that we have, put it around at bottom of Boba Fett's head, and it's about right here. That's 5'9" right there. So 6 feet in perspective is right there. So I'm going to draw it a little stronger so you can see that. So right there, okay, and right where Boba Fett's head is, about right there. That's where our stormtrooper is going to be sitting on the platform up there with part of his legs not showing because the platform is going to be in the way. All right, so now we have a pretty accurate scaling of where we want to put that. So pretty good stuff, you know, all around through there. So let me draw that stormtrooper in before I cut. And I'll sketch him in and show you that. And then again, like I said, I'll cut, and then I'll finish these out, and we'll come back and wrap it up, and you can see how I just laid them in. And we can talk about scaling because we're pretty much done with the lesson. So I want to be at least, you know, mindful of time. About an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours is long enough. All right, so let's take the opacity down a little bit. Let's take our nib down a little bit to 6 maybe, and let's just see what I can come up with. So here's the top. Need more opacity so we can see him. All right, so here's the top of his head, roughly in through here. Okay. All right, so his shoulder we might be overlapping a little bit through here. So we'll put shoulder area, rib cage, pelvic region is going to turn up. So we might have him here like so. Maybe he's holding a gun across, holding something across there so we can see that coming through. Midsection, coming down, and then legs would be coming down in this direction and over. And of course he would disappear now. His legs would disappear through and come. Of course they would come all the way down. If you want to draw in through a little bit, it would be something like that sitting down in through there. And so we have just the length of our character coming in through here like so. Okay, so we have that engaged on in through. So let's take a look and drop back and see our scale. So it's working pretty good. So now we have our scale. Remember, he's on that platform above everybody else as a guard. And of course, we could put guards all over this thing too as well. Okay, so what I want to do is, let me pull this back up, is to go off camera for a while so I can finish out my diagram, my illustration of referencing, and then we'll come back, we'll take a look at what I did, and you can compare it to maybe what you're doing. Have a little fun with it, and then now you know a little bit better how to do a two-point interior and also add figures into it to get some referencing. You get so good at this, don't worry, you get so good at this that it becomes second nature, and you just sketch and draw, and you can do little reference points really quickly. You don't have to change colors, and nobody knows that you did it, and you do a beautiful drawing without all this. Remember, this is instructional. It's meant to inform, to show you what goes on, the nuts, the bolts, and the guts, right? The guts and the nuts and bolts of what's behind artist in drawing and in really painting creation too as well. Okay, so let me get out of here. I'll come back and we'll finish it off. I'll put some stormtroopers out here and jazz it up a little bit. Okay, so here we are. We're finished out. So what I did is I laid in, and remember we referenced our stormtroopers, and now I laid them in. So let's go back and review that just here for a moment. So looking at the big stormtrooper here to the left, about 6 feet tall. I took him down just a little bit. I'm right here. Took him down just a little bit right here, just to make him a little bit shorter. I felt like he was a little tall. And then I put the next stormtrooper here. He was about 6 foot. Remember, Chewbacca is 7'5". Darth Vader's 6'5", but he's pushed back a little bit to here and then up, so he's going to seem a little bit shorter. He's about a foot or two back. And his diminishment would put him almost at the same size as a trooper. Boba Fett, and then we've got my next stormtrooper. Remember, we raised him all the way up. Remember, I slid him over his distance, height, as far as I could here, and just guesstimated here and here. Brought an angle over, brought that length back over from the right vanishing point, brought him down, pushed him back over a little bit, or actually brought him forward. And there he is, just quickly sketched in over there. And then lastly, my two stormtroopers here. Both of them are 6 feet tall. He should feel a little bit taller because he's closer to us. And this one's also pushed back off this line here a little bit as well. And so there you go. So I added a little bit of extras into the composition, just for our concept rough draft sketch here to give the idea. I remember that Solo is going into the chamber, the carbonite chamber, and he's about to get frozen solid. So what I might do lastly to wrap up this up is, you could play around with things. The background here could be filled with all kinds of little extra mechanical gadgets and things that come in. And what I also might show you is how I might cut off this composition a little bit. I might not be satisfied with this picture plane, so what I might do is come in a little bit. So I'm going to take the opacity all the way to 100, and I like where the nib is about with that thickness. And so I might say, I might come in over to the side. I might crop in a little bit further right in through to the left here. I'm over to the left here, coming in maybe about right there and in. Okay. And I might crop out. I might almost actually leave it all the way at the top. I kind of like having that extra height. So I'm going to bring it about at the top there. So that would take that off. I might take off some of this in the back here as well. Right in through here and over. That seems to be appropriate. And then where would I cut it off down at the bottom? I might actually leave a little bit of the platform, or I could cut off the platform a little bit. Let's take a look and see which one I like better. So we have that one in through there. Whoops. And then I have another line that I might do. Let's see here. Which one would I like better? I don't know. I think I like that bottom line. No, I think I like the top one I did a little bit better. So I'm going to go edit back a little bit and take that one off, and that'll be our composition. There you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it, and you can take this idea and use your own ideas and do anything you want with anything that you want to do out there. If you wanted to be an impressionist, you could use this technique of referencing figures and houses. And it's very, it's very easy. This wasn't very scientific. It wasn't very difficult. We just used two vanishing points for the left and right, and we used our center of vision vanishing point, or 1 point for a 1 point form. And then we just reference. We used the whole idea of 1 point and used referencing points to be creative about positioning and referencing figures all over the composition that we needed. And of course, we started with Han Solo, the central figure, in through here to reference him out. Okay. All right, so I'll leave you. I hope you had a good time with it. I hope that you'll go on and continue with your perspective studies and into 3-point and beyond, and you'll be surprised at how structurally stronger these will make all of your drawings. All right, take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.